Well, the Dogs are headed to Fayetteville, and we found the matchup that favor Mississippi State. Stick around to hear where the Bulldogs can take it to the Hogs on Saturday.
You are Locked On Mississippi State, your daily podcast on the Mississippi State Bulldogs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Mazda. Like our players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, pulling off the unexpected is only the beginning. Stay tuned later for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. Mazda, move and be moved. I'm Jaron, Spor, National College Football Writer at Athlon Sports. That's Landon, McBride. We've got Preview Friday for you today. We're going to preview the offense and defense for the Arkansas Razorbacks and some of the matchups that we think Mississippi State can take advantage of. Also, in our Next Up in Starkville segment, we will give our prediction for the game, so you don't want to miss that. Do we have Mississippi State ending that 4-game skid? You'll have to stick around. All right, Landon, first let's start with the offense of Arkansas against the defense of Mississippi State. What are you seeing from the Razorbacks, and where do you think the advantage is for Mississippi State?
Well, the Arkansas Razorbacks, their offense, it's Taylen Green. How he goes is how the team goes. I mean, obviously that's true for most quarterbacks, but when he's also the second leading rusher on the team with 90 carries and over 600 yards, I mean, that is a massive amount of offense on one player, even for a quarterback. But we mentioned it. He can be very streaky. When he's on, he's one of the best quarterbacks in college football. When he's off, that's a very different story. And we have seen him get very off over his career where he can't make throws, makes just blatantly wrong reads. So, I mean, it comes down to how he plays really what this offense does.
Yeah, and John talked about that yesterday on yesterday's show, just how up and down he is, because he's a guy that, you know, is electric and one of the most electric players in college football. But then he'll have times when he'll throw those 3 interceptions and you're like, what just happened? Now, John didn't necessarily agree, but I think part of it is he has to play hero ball a lot with that defense. So I think some of them
he thinks he has to play hero ball.
Well, he might have to. Yeah. And I will say this, and that's not a defense of him, because I will say that it's not okay to do that. You just need to kind of stick to what you do. But I also understand, like, if you're a team that's lost 6 in a row, your defense has been terrible. I understand sometimes you're like, man, I could possibly make that play. I just got to try it because we know the defense ain't going to stop anyone. And so I understand the dilemma they're in. But yeah, no, he is their offense. 2,178 yards passing, 603 yards rushing. But Mike Washington has 712 yards rushing, 5 touchdowns on 6.6 yards per carry. So he kind of leads the running game. And Braylon Russell's also been solid with 255 yards rushing so far this year, losing some of their guys earlier in the year to injury. But I think, and I still believe, Arkansas, despite the 2-6 record and what that tells you, and I know people say they are what your record says you are, and I get that too. I think they're a very good offense, though. I know the defense has not been good. They lose games in the weirdest ways. There's been twice this year they're driving to win the game. They fumble the football. That happened against Ole Miss, happened against Memphis, where they're driving to win the game in the final couple minutes, and their whole season is completely different if that changes. First off, Sam Pittman's not fired if that changes, because that was during the stretch before he was fired. And they would have started, 5-0 or whatever, or 4-0.
Yeah.
And they find ways to lose. But I still think this offense is special.
Oh, the offense is very good. I mean, you look at every game. You look at their record in these games. Yeah, they've lost 6 straight, but only one of them is by more than 1 possession. And, like, all of them are by, like, within 10 points almost. So, I mean, it's like they're in every game. It's not like this is a team that's getting blown out week after week after week. And that's because of the offense. I mean, it's only because of the offense.
Yeah, they rank number 7 in total offense this season. There's only one game that they've been held under 20 points. That was the 13-point game against Notre Dame, which was obviously just terrible all the way around. And then they had, of course, 24 last week against Auburn, where they lost 33-24. but they scored 52 to start the season, 56 the next game, 35 against Ole Miss, 31 against Memphis, 31 against Tennessee, 42 against A&M. And we talked about how good A&M is just yesterday, and that was a game, again, they had a chance to win, and that would have been a marquee win for them. And so this offense, they're going to put up points. They're going to typically put up yards. And as a Mississippi State fan, the worry now is what defense shows up. When Taylen Green is on, it's not just the secondary has to play well. It's not one of those pocket passers that's like, okay, if the secondary plays well, they'll struggle. Now the D-line's got to play well because he can get out and run and make things happen that way. If the defensive line that showed up last week against Texas shows up, I think they can contain him pretty well.
Yeah, I think they can too. And the rest of the offense matches up well with Mississippi State's defense because they don't have a dominant receiver in terms of a guy that, I mean, yes, Omega Blake is their leading receiver, 643 yards, but he's not one of those guys that's in the upper echelon of receivers in college football. So you feel good that Kelley Jones can handle him. You feel like that's a pretty solid matchup. And their number 2 leading receiver is a tight end.
Yeah.
Isaac Smith, Jahron Manning, one of them handles him. Or both of them, so you feel pretty good about your matchup from the secondary perspective on there isn't one guy that's going to beat you. The problem is you cover those guys well enough, you give Taylen Green enough time in that pocket, he's going to find a hole because your defense is going to be stretched and he's going to take off for 30 yards. So the defensive line is going to have to be very disciplined in their pass rush lanes and not get too far upfield, not too many stunts that leaves an escape route for him to turn a great defensive play into a great offensive play for them.
Yeah, and Omega Blake's a big receiver, 6'3", so that's why Kelley Jones is going to have to be on him for much of the game. I'm glad you brought up the tight end because when I was looking at his stats, I had to do a double take. It's Rohan Jones. He has 408 yards receiving, 3 touchdowns on only 12 catches. He's averaging 34 yards a catch. So that tells me they don't use him much, but when they do use him, it's a big play, and that's what Mississippi State has to eliminate in this game is the big plays if they're going to win because that fuels every team, but especially a team like Arkansas and Arkansas's really talented offense. But yeah, I mean, I've never really seen a stat line like that where you have 12 catches for 408 yards, especially not at the tight end position. So that's
I have on
crazy.
NCAA. I mean, I can pull it.
Yeah, right. Right. But I still think if you want to ask me, okay, where can Mississippi State have success? I still think the secondary is very good, and so I think that's where they're going to have success.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yes, they can, and it comes down to another part. We talked a lot about last week, even in the loss to Texas, how good the linebacking group played. These guys are starting to show up. When you have a mobile quarterback who runs as much as Taylen Green does, your linebackers are probably the most important group on that defense. Because they're the ones who have to have eyes on him, that are going to be in charge of those rush lanes, and that are going to be when they run the options or the read options, they're the ones that are making the read on which one to go to. So if they play like they did last week, that's going to give this defense another step up and really give them a better chance of slowing down that and forcing Taylen Green to make a few more tough reads.
This is the only thing I pray happens. Please spy Taylen Green. And I know it sounds like an easy answer, but how many times have we seen Mississippi State and other teams just refuse to spy running quarterbacks? I might just say, Isaac Smith, you follow him everywhere he goes. Mm-hmm. And I know you don't want Isaac Smith to have to be doing that because you need him for everything else, but you might have to be like, Isaac Smith, you got him the whole game. Because linebackers really can't run with him. And Mississippi State's got some fast guys at linebacker, but it usually can't run with him because he's got those long strides.
Right.
So I would honestly consider Isaac Smith, Jahron Manning. One of you got him. Just go.
One of you take the tight end, the other spy the quarterback. Y'all figure it out.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And or Lanier. Lanier in there as well because he obviously played really well in this last game.
Yeah.
So. All right, coming up next, where does Mississippi State have an advantage offensively against Arkansas's defense? It might be all over the field, honestly. We'll talk about that coming up next. Well, Well, this episode's brought to you by Mazda's Moving the Game Forward. For those who believe it's not just about playing the game, it's about redefining it. There are moments that do more than put points on the board. They move crowds, move culture, and keep moving the game forward. This week's moment that moved the game forward, I know a lot of people at home are like, okay, what moment in last week's game moved the game forward because of how bad that game went? But I do want to bring up Brylan Lanier again, because I thought he played a pretty strong game in that one. Sorry, I said Brylan Lanier. I meant Jahron Manning. Jahron Manning, I wanted to bring him up. He had 14 tackles. He was my player of the game for the week. He had 2 tackles for loss. I just have been so impressed by him this whole season. And he's a big reason why this defense is taking the step it has, because you have him, you have Isaac Smith, you have Brylan Lanier, you have Kelley Jones, you have all these defensive backs that are playing really good football. But I really feel like he's playing the best of all of them, or, unless you want to argue Kelley Jones. And so I just have been so impressed by him this season. And so if I had to pick a guy that's moving the game forward, I have to go with Jahron Manning. So when you follow what moves you, the unexpected is only the beginning. And just like there's more to every highlight, there's more to a Mazda vehicle. Mazda, move and be moved. Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, Landon, where are the advantages for the offense?
Pretty much everywhere that is not Quincy Rhodes Jr.
Yeah.
That's really honestly it. I mean, you look at his stats: 7 sacks, 9.5 tackles for loss. That's by far, 4.5 more tackles for loss than the next guy, 5.5 more sacks than the next guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he is their front seven. I mean, yes, those other guys, not taking saying they aren't good players. I mean, he is the one that can really do damage. Teams they don't really take the ball away. 5 interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you mentioned this defense is not good. We talked about how many points they've given up. They give up points like crazy.
Yeah.
And as long as you don't let Rhodes in the backfield on every play, you're going to have a chance to put up points like crazy.
Which almost feels like a easier said than done. Not just because he's a really good player, but just because of how poor the offensive line has played at times this year, especially in the past.
Lines up over Albert Reese the whole game.
Right, because that's where you have you could have some success. But yeah, I mean, he's really the one, and it's very similar to like when Arkansas had like Landon Jackson out there, where it was like he is really good, but outside of that, how much do they actually have? It's basically the same Arkansas defense, just with a different player instead of Landon Jackson out there. But yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing they have an advantage on is in the running game. That's where I think they can absolutely torch Arkansas, and they can torch Arkansas through the air too. But I just reminded of that Notre Dame game where Notre Dame ran for 210 yards, 4 touchdowns. They obviously threw for 431 as well. So it's not like they had a bad game through the air, but they just ran all over them. And Notre Dame is a good running team. I think Mississippi State's a better one, in my personal opinion. Now, Jeremiah Love is a better running back than anyone than anyone Mississippi State has. But at that time, he still wasn't fully back to playing like Jeremiah Love. That was really kind of his breakout game, honestly, because he had battled that injury in the playoff and was still kind of recovering from that. I just personally think that is where they can just dominate the ground. Now, Levy's got to let them do that, and that's the biggest question.
Yeah, that is exactly right. We've seen a lot of teams just run all over them, just hand the ball off and go. And we've seen what Booth can do the last couple of weeks. He has been putting up monster numbers on the ground without Fluff. And we both expect Fluff to play Saturday, barring something happening. So you add him in that backfield, that's arguably better than Notre Dame's 1-2 punch. I mean, I'm a big fan of Price too, but I mean, I think Fluff and Booth might be a better duo than those two just because of how they complement each other. So, I mean, you put those two out there with this team that has had problems stopping the run all day. I mean, 300 yards on the ground is not out of the question, honestly.
No, and it would all come down to Levy letting them do that.
Levy, game situations, all that.
Yeah, let them run the football. Now, I will say their linebackers are really active. Xavier Sori, Steven Dix, Larry Worth, all have over 45 tackles at linebacker. Xavier Sorey and Steven Dix both have 59 tackles on the season, and Sorey has one of the 5 interceptions they have. Julian Neal is kind of their playmaker in the secondary. He has the 2 picks, also has 7 pass deflections. The other guy, Kenai Walker, has 9 pass deflections, the former Oklahoma Sooner. He has 1 interception, but it was the 89-yard pick 6 that he just had last week against Auburn. He's a guy that's pretty good in zone, but really struggles in man. Yeah. And that's where you can pick him apart, especially with the speed receivers that they have, which he was on the team with Brennan Thompson last year. So it'd be kind of fun to see that kind of matchup between those two. I don't know if he'll be put on the island much against Brennan Thompson, but I just,
my guess is no.
Yeah, he doesn't do well against man coverage, and so I don't think he'll play a lot of man. So I don't see him matched up on him much. But yeah, you have to take advantage of the running game and let your running game just kind of control the game. Don't put the game in Blake Shapen's hands as don't make him have to go win the game. Because I will say this, and this isn't a shot at Blake Shapen. If Blake Shapen has to go win this game, that's a really bad sign, because you should be able to dominate the running game so much that I don't care if it's Tom Brady back at quarterback. They shouldn't have to go win the game.
Yeah. The only reason he should be put in a situation to have to win the game is if you get good Taylen Green and your defense just can't stop it and you get the ball last. That is the only situation.
That's another reason why you got to run the football. Because if Taylen Green's playing good football,
keep him off
you need to keep him on the sidelines, but then again, you go fast, so it might not matter.
Yeah, I think this will be a very instructive game because Levy mentioned some changes he would have liked to make in last week's game. We'll see if he's already implemented some of those things that he has, saw that he could do better in terms of game management, play calling, those kind of things. This could be a very big game for him in that term. And we've said it a million times, but we got to run the ball here. That's just what this game comes down to. I sound like a coach from the 80s, but run the ball. Just hand it off, and you're going to put up points against this defense.
Yeah, and again, I want to see a game where they understand that this is their best part of their team, and we're just going to run it down your throat the whole game. Because, again, they can do that against them. That's the frustrating thing. They absolutely can do it against them. You just got to let them do it. And I don't know if they're going to let them do it or not, but hopefully they do. Because if they do, I think they're going to win pretty handedly, honestly. But if they don't, then the game's going to be close.
Yeah, you got to run the ball and force that secondary to creep closer so that you can really take advantage of the speed of Evans and Thompson on the outside and hit them for a couple big plays.
Right, for sure. All right, coming up next, we will reveal our upset of the week. Don't go anywhere.
It's almost the weekend. Time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. And for Mississippi State, Davon Booth delivered in a big way. And, he had a great game, 99 rushing yards on the day, but it was really that touchdown late where he caught the little shovel pass from Shapen and took it 62 yards to the house, where he just ran past the defense to just give more life to the offense at that point in time. When the pressure was on, he came through, no hesitation, no delay. If you've been watching week after week, this performance wasn't a fluke. Booth is on a streak. Just like Booth delivered for Mississippi State, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays with DoorDash Streaks. You save every Saturday you order, stack it up all season. You can save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday and keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash. Terms apply. Promo period through November 18th. And the NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Well, thanks for making Locked On Mississippi State your first listen every single day, part of Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. All right, Landon, who do you have in this one? What are you feeling? Give us some good news, please.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. But I've been feeling good lately, so I don't know if that's a good thing. But, I mean, this is going to be a high-scoring game. There's no way this game – bet the over on this one. I think Mississippi State wins it 45-40.
Oh, so you're going real high scoring.
I think it's going to be real high scoring.
Okay, so yesterday on the podcast with John, I kind of gave my pick a little bit. I didn't actually pick a score. But I was sitting there, I was like, okay, what do I think is going to happen in this game more likely? Like, what's more likely to happen? Is it going to be a shootout? Is it going to be, this low-scoring game? Like, what's more likely to happen? And definitely, I went the shootout route as well. I threw out a couple options. 41-38 was kind of the one I mentioned the most. And that's kind of what I'm sticking with. And I'm just going to go with that. I honestly think that Mississippi State's going to win 41-38. And what I think is going to happen, and I said this yesterday, I think it's going to be one of those games where both teams try to give the game away. And it's just one team does it a little more than the other team.
Yep, and what's going to happen is, since we're both expecting a shootout, we've spent the majority of this week talking about how good both these offenses are. We're going to go get a nice little 13-10 slugfest.
Yeah, well, John will hate that because he mentioned the 7-3 game that happened. I think it was the last time in Fayetteville, and he said it was the worst game he's ever had to witness in his life. And so he hopes you're wrong, Landon, on that one.
I hope I am too, but that's what seems to happen every time you get two great offenses going together. The defense shows up. That seems to happen almost every time. Then it's seeing just teams just trading scores. But I would rather teams trade scores, and I hope we come out with a few more of them.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I'm like, I could see this being a runaway Mississippi State win. I really could. I just think good Taylen Green's going to show up, and if he shows up, all bets are off the table.
You're not blowing that team out. Right.
It's going to be, and they, outside of the Notre Dame game, they don't get blown out. They really don't. And so it's a hard game to pick because both teams are really struggling right now. Both teams just over and over find ways to lose the game, whether it's a penalty, whether it's a bad turnover, whether it's bad clock management. They just continue to beat themselves. And for both teams, it feels like, man, this is the game that you hopefully will write that and you don't beat yourself finally anyway. But it's that way for both teams, and that's why I don't feel great about either. But if I had to pick a team that I feel better about, I do feel better about Mississippi State, just because I think Arkansas's offense is better than Mississippi State's, obviously, but I think Arkansas's defense is so much worse than Mississippi State's.
Yeah,
I think Mississippi State can get a couple stops. I'm not sure Arkansas can.
Yeah, and especially with this secondary that we've talked about a lot, I think even if good Taylen Green shows up, he still makes a couple throws that are questionable. And Isaac Smith, Kelley Jones, Manning, those are guys that take advantage of those bad throws. So that might be where some of those stops come from.
Well, we said that about this team so far this year, where this team is, for all their good and bad, we said going into the year, they need defensively, we didn't think they'd take the jump that they did, but they have. But we said what they need to be is a defense that turns people over. Just do that. And they've done that actually really well this year. They haven't rushed the passer well. They haven't had a lot of tackles for loss. But the one thing that they do is they do turn people over really well. So that's the one thing that if Taylen Green starts throwing you some, we'll see.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to come down to turnovers. Look at us. Yeah. Breaking news here. Run the ball, get some turnovers. You might get out with the win.
Well, and I will say it was great news because on the initial report for the availability report, Fluff was listed as probable for that game. So was Jet Jefferson. Albert Reese was obviously questionable, so we'll have to see what happens there. But Fluff being probable, big news there, and hopefully that means he does play and he actually is able to play at full strength.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm ready to see him back on the field, both just because he's a fun player to watch and, this team needs him.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, thanks for being Locked On Mississippi State, your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On SEC. Chris Gordy breaks down the best conference in college sports, from the rivalries to the championship and every game in between. Find Locked On SEC on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, I'm Jaron. Check out my work over at Athlon Sports. That's Landon. Follow us, Locked On Mississippi State. We're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. We post daily videos Monday through Friday, so check those out. We also have our pre- and post-game video on tomorrow before the game, and then obviously after the game. So check that out as well. And until next time, Hail State.
Hail State.